Is Nintendo's pricing going to ruin the Nintendo Switch 2? I gotta say, the only thing I am seeing in regards to the Switch 2 is people complaining about the pricing. My last video, I talked about how the console itself was so overpriced at $700 here in Australia, but a lot of people are complaining about the games as well. I mean, for the launch title Mario Kart World, we are looking at a $120 price tag in Australia to pick up that game by itself, and $110 for Donkey Kong Bonanza. And yes, as I said in my last video, we are in the midst of inflation, we are in the midst of an economic crisis. There are tariffs that the president of America is putting in place that are literally affecting things around the world. So can Nintendo survive with this price point? I'm really unsure how this is going to go down, and I really want to talk about it. What's up guys, Mike here for more Switch 2 content. Subscribe to my channel right now. Let's do it. Okay, it really feels like Nintendo is going into some kind of pseudo damage control at the moment, especially with Doug Bowser, the aptly named and maybe even more aptly named CEO of Nintendo of America, coming out and saying some pretty bizarre things about the Nintendo Switch 2's price point. In a recent statement, he comes out and says, "We recognize there are some people that may not be able to afford the Switch 2's price point. That's why we wanted to make the Switch platforms available so people still have an opportunity to come into our gaming universe, be a part of these characters in these worlds, and see value, if you will, in whatever rung of the platform they come in." I gotta say, even just reading that, it stopped making sense halfway through. And I think the translation of that PR spin he's trying to pull is basically that, well, the Switch 1 is still gonna technically be available, so if you can't afford the Switch 2, at least you'll have the Switch 1. Okay, that is a decent argument, except for the fact that games like Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza, and pretty much all new Nintendo games for the foreseeable future, will not be available on Switch 1. I mean, the whole point of making software exclusive to the Switch 2 is so that people have to buy a Switch 2 in order to play the new games. I feel very concerned for this, as I outlined extensively in my last video, which did very well, by the way. I think people are really disappointed with this price. I do want to retort to a few people who commented on my previous video on this topic, because in that video I started by saying that it's too expensive, but I will definitely be picking one up day one. I will defend that statement because it's kind of irrelevant to me. I am a content creator, that is my job, and I make money from doing stuff like this, talking about and commenting on things like the Switch 2 and other pop culture news. So when I buy a Switch 2, I can literally claim it as a tax deduction. I can write it off as a business expense because of what I do for work. That is why it is very easy for me to justify the purchase regardless of how much it costs. My job on these videos and my channel going forward when I cover Switch 2 and Nintendo news, which I will be doing, is to essentially comment on things like these. The price is honestly irrelevant to me, but I'm speaking on behalf of like consumers, like general everyday consumers who don't do stuff like me and can't write off $700 as a business expense because they just can't. Especially working mums and dads who want to buy Switch 2s for their kids, maybe for Christmas. That is an out-of-pocket cost for them. And Doug Bowser openly saying that he thinks a lot of people won't be able to afford the Switch 2 is just a PR nightmare. I am so surprised people let him put that statement out, because it shows that at least he or whoever wrote that statement for him is aware that people are complaining about these prices and they have no intention of making them lower. Just while I've got you guys, I'm trying to hit 10K subs by the end of 2025, and I'm really getting close and think I can do it. So if you like this video, please hit the subscribe button for more of my content. I would love for you to hit the button. Okay, back to it. In another statement, Doug Bowser actually makes more comments on the varied pricing around games like Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza, because as a lot of Nintendo fans have been commenting, why is there a $10 difference between the two games? Like, what makes Mario Kart worth more than Donkey Kong Bonanza? Again, in a pretty botched PR statement, Doug Bowser comes out and says, "What you see right there is variable pricing. We'll look at each game, really look at the development that's gone into the game, the breadth and the depth of the gameplay, if you will, the durability over time, and the repeatability of gameplay experiences. Those are all factors, and there's many more that go into consideration of what is the right price point for the game. So I think you can anticipate that there will be variable pricing, and we haven't set a benchmark." Again, just kind of a non-answer that doesn't really explain it. And I guess if we take him at his word, he is saying that Mario Kart World, I guess, was a more expensive game to develop than Donkey Kong. Therefore, I guess when you break down the numbers, Nintendo has to charge more for it to make back more of that development cost. I guess that's kind of fair, but the pricing also seems pretty random, to be honest. I think the problem with Nintendo doing a lot of this is honestly just that they come across as greedy. The price is ridiculously high for what it is. And aside from that, they even have this new game chat feature, which is also paid. Like, they literally put a whole button on the Joy-Con, this C button, to launch this feature. But if you're not a paid subscriber, then you can't use this button. And I doubt you'll be able to remap it to do anything else. I mean, I don't know about you, but I mean, making an entire button sit behind a paywall feels pretty greedy to me. And again, I am so excited because I love Nintendo, but I just think strategically this has been a nightmare for them. I really don't think people are going to be happy with the messaging that Nintendo is putting out and that Doug Bowser is putting out. And to be honest, I remember Reggie Fils-Aimé being so much better at this kind of thing. Reggie was the previous and beloved former CEO of Nintendo America. I actually recently finished reading his book, Disrupting the Game, which was great. And I have two thoughts. One, I seriously doubt Reggie would ever have let this price point hit the US and therefore other Western markets. And two, if it had to, I feel like he would have handled it with so much more grace than what Doug Bowser is doing. Overall, as a Nintendo fan, I am simultaneously excited and disappointed, which is a weird combination of feelings, but that is kind of how I feel. Again, I think this console is gonna suffer a lot, and before you comment below telling me that I'm a crybaby, just look across the internet. I mean, most people, the majority of people I'm seeing are agreeing with this rhetoric. Switch 2 is a really important point of Nintendo's legacy, and Nintendo has very rarely had two hits in a row. Unfortunately, I think at the rate they're going, the Switch 2 is not going to be anywhere near the success of the Switch or the Wii, and that's really, really bad. Whew, thank you so much for watching, guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more Switch 2 coverage and gaming coverage and just millennial pop culture content. That's what I do here, and I'm trying to grow, so thank you for being around and watching. Leave a comment below if you want to help me out in the algorithm, but you can't think of a comment. Just comment below, my body is ready. You know what it means, I know what it means, and it will show me that you made it to the end. You guys are the true fans of me, Radio Mike. While I've got you, I'm all over the internet doing dumb stuff that I think is cool. I have a blog, I have a podcast, they're all down in the description below. And YouTube thinks you might like this video here, but if you just want a bunch of Nintendo related videos, then I have a whole playlist of those bad boys sitting right there for you to binge right now. Go on, click it, I dare you. That's pretty much it from me. My name's Radio Mike. This has been The Inside of My Mind, and I'll catch you later.